Welcome back to another episode of Heavy Rotation, tribute to Cleveland metal and beyond. We got a scene veteran in the building tonight, Mr. Corey Bing. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Thanks for having me, Matt. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Been having a lot of fun doing this show. Appreciate you coming on and gifting me with that new album. I want to grab that album real quick and show that.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Just came out. We just got them last week. Shipped in from France, from Totem Cat.
So, wait, how do I get that in there? Wait a minute. Okay. New album of Fistula. 11th album, I believe, right?
Yep, 11th.
Galaxies of Disappointment on Totem Cat Records. That's a good view of it. The artwork is super sick, man. Who did that?
That was done by a guy in Europe. He goes by the name of Ditch Witch 666. It's killer. It was an idea that Ewan had from the label. And he hit me up after he heard the music, and he said, hey, Corey, I think this guy had something that I think would fit the tunes for this record. And, yeah, he showed it to me, and come on, I already had the title and everything, and he showed me that. And, it was a no-brainer. Galaxies of Disappointment, indeed.
Yeah, man, thank you so much for this.
Yeah,
I do have
absolutely.
a record, decent vinyl player at home, so I'll definitely be spinning that.
Nice.
So you have a very large body of work from Fistula and Simian. I actually was playing that before you came in.
Simian Steel.
Simian Steel. Some other ones that I used in the... Let's see here. I didn't have my notes out here. In the promo, there was like something I saw you did with like Pat from Abraded.
Bat Sacrifice.
Yeah, Bat Sacrifice. And then let's see here. Should have had this ready. Okay. So, yeah, also, is it Sollubi? Is that how you would pronounce it?
Yep. Naked Lunch reference.
Morbid Wizard?
Yep.
Chemical Crucifixion.
Yep.
And there's another one that you were just telling me about.
Oh, Nosgalizer. Yeah, I do that band with Scott Stearns, another longtime friend of mine, and Bob Branca. That one's a little different. Scott writes all the music for that stuff, and then I do the drums and the vocals, and everything about it is basically it's a story, good versus evil. But on all the tracks, I've never sang anything in a normal pronunciation of like pronouncing words from front to back. Everything I sing is in reverse. Nothing is, normal on that. So it's a little weird, a little different, I would say.
Yeah, that's really cool. And we were just talking about that when I came down to meet you right now. Impressive that you actually take the time to figure out how to say that backwards. And because my initial thought was that you're tracking it and then just pressing the button to flip it.
Right. Yeah, no.
Like kind of like those old like Jimi Hendrix recordings where you hear his guitar and then I guess they like put the tape backwards or something. That was my first thought, but yeah, very cool, man. I guess Fistula is your most recorded band?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Since we started that band in 1998 and it's still going, we probably, 11 like full-length records, but all in all, we probably have, there's probably close to 50, if not more, like releases probably, you know, like various splits or comps or EPs or, stuff like that. But yeah, it's the most recorded, definitely.
Yeah, so the in the stuff that you sent me that was really helpful, whoever it was that wrote that, the write up for the newest Fistula release for Galaxies of Disappointment, because admittedly, I'm definitely aware of Fistula, but and the general sound, but it's been just the past couple days, leading up to this interview where I really did a deeper dive and just realized like you said, the immense amount of work. So that's very impressive, man, and I'm sure it's been a lot of fun. I want to say, when I saw you play, did you play on the show with Embalmer at No Class? Like a while back, like the Dark Arts show?
Yeah, I think we did. We played with Axioma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, word. So, so I was there for that. And then, was there...
Alicia sang with us.
Was a female singer, I remember.
Yeah, Alicia was singing with us at the time, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a super fun night. That was a great night.
Yeah, excellent, man. So yeah, I had noticed that there's been many incarnations of the band, and to where you're at this point in time, like from the original lineup, you're the only just from the core, starting of the band, you're the last person that's still involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right on, man, for keeping it going, dude. So, and at this point you played drums, but then in my digging and going through stuff, I saw there was some times where maybe you were playing guitar and stuff. What's been the evolution of from the inception to now, your different roles in the band?
So when we first started Fistula, I was actually the original drummer, and our high school buddy Ryan was on bass, and Bob played guitar. And this was when we, 97, 98 time, and Ryan, this is when we were just figuring out what to call ourselves to, and we were actually going by the name of Corn-Fed until we figured out Ryan had got stabbed at a quicksand show, and he had kidney failure, and so we went to dialysis 3 times a week, and he would come home and he had this port in his arm, and he developed a fistula from it, and it's a tunnel from an abscess. And we thought that we kind of sounded how his arm looked, so we were like, let's just call ourselves Fistula, and we're and then we start calling ourselves that. But I think some of the first shows we did, when Ascension broke up and then Chimera started, when I think one of their first shows at the Euclid Tavern, I think we opened up for those guys. I think Descension played too, but we were still called Corn-Fed around that time, and not too long after that we changed it to Fistula. But Aaron played drums around that time, and so he was actually our second drummer, but this was still high school friends, me and Aaron and Bob. And when we started the 3-piece version of that, I was playing guitar, and Bob and I only sang by default too, because this was Steve Barkus was our original singer. And you can hear Steve on other things like The Goat and Burdened by Your Existence. And, I always played guitar and all this stuff and sang with Bob. And then when it got to around The Goat, I played drums on that. And I, would show Matt from Hemdale and Accept Death the guitar parts, and Matt would play them. And we record all the stuff in his bedroom, and I started playing drums around that time too. It was hard to always find a consistent drummer. We had Jason Corley from 16 play on For a Better Tomorrow. And, the Burdened record we did in 07 and 08, we actually worked on those songs for like a good 6 months before we laid them down. And there was a lot of times that, we would just spend a couple, months working on some tunes, and then 80% of the time we wouldn't even work on any riffs, or we would just go into the studio and just create on the spot, And I played guitar for most of that, but it was like becoming harder to find a drummer that was like, consistent. And, we were all on drugs for years when we were playing. It just came hand in hand with what we were doing. And it, did it cause a lot of problems with what we were trying to do? Probably, but, what are you going to do? But we were always running into different problems, and that's why it just led to around 2019, I think, I started playing drums more. And I was just like, I'm just going to I'll write, riffs and stuff for the records. And, but I started playing drums more, and just instead of trying to find somebody. So that's when that happened. And so since like 2019, I've been trying to become, a better drummer for the first time in my life. I would always play because I could just carry a beat, but it was just like, oh, hey, Corey can play drums, so, halfway, so we can do what we need to do. But I wanted to do more than that, So I've been trying to play since around then, yeah. It's been about that long, I think. So past 7 years, I've been trying to play drums a little more and be a drummer instead of just being able to play the drums, So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I can definitely relate, man. And then, you have like for me, guitar is first, but then sometimes the opportunity just presents itself, and it's like, hey, we need a singer, and then you find yourself in that role, and then, it's always good to branch out more, and truly, when you believe in the project, and the longevity of it, you do what's necessary to
absolutely
to carry it forward. Which to that point, in looking through, I basically just went on your Facebook, and I was like, Instagram will let me put like 20 pictures. It used to be 10, now it's 20. So I'm like, let me find like 20 cool, plus with the stuff you sent me, of course. But then I'm like, let me find some more. And I'm just going and I'm looking back at all this stuff. And there was just a lot of really, great stuff to choose from. Like, you guys had done like some European tours, I saw.
Yeah, we've got lucky to did like 3 European tours before the pandemic hit. And right before the pandemic hit, there were some promoters that were negotiating our Asia tour and our Australian tour. And then, as soon as all that happened, put a pause on everything, and we kind of, we didn't do anything for a while, and but the 3 tours over in Europe were very, very, very fun. We've been getting a lot of response to come back and play, And I'm very fortunate anybody, carriers wanted us to tour over there, you know. But the tours were great. The very last one we did was killer. We toured with this band called Grime from Italy, and they were sick. Really good, great people. Our driver, Alessandro, killer. But we toured with Grime the time before, going over to Europe too. And those shows over there, great. The people over there, great. So I can't wait to go back there. We just went to Japan in last December, and played with a bunch of killer bands. But got to play with Coffins and Green Machine, and it was a dream come true.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. Well, like, I've been in Tokyo Airport twice, in transit to visit my wife's family in the Philippines, but
big Godzilla looming at you.
Well, the one time we were there, there was a earthquake while we were in the airport. That was kind of crazy. But what I was gonna say is just, even just being in that airport, you just get this sense of, it's just like a different culture. Like it's like very quiet in that airport, and everything is like clean and
everything.
And then it's like we're in America, and we're just like
dirty.
Rock and roll, man. We're just like, hell yeah. So it's like, I was just interested, like, obviously there's a, the people,
noticeable difference.
They must be just going off to have like this rowdy, like, like American music, like grindcore, or like sludge, hardcore, like all the things that Fistula encompasses. I mean, it's gotta be a real niche thing for them.
Oh man, they were going crazy. It was killer. Their energy was great. The most polite, kind people, and I would walk. We were in Tokyo, and I would get up in the morning, and we would all walk up through the city like 2 or 3 miles, and we'd walk into Sun Mall in Tokyo. And one thing I noticed is there'd be like hundreds of people in the street crossing a crosswalk, and you would hear doot doot doot. You would hear the crosswalk beeping, but you wouldn't hear a sound of anyone talking, and no one would be walking around eating or drinking, And then, as soon as we get back on the airplane and we fly into Ohio, there's this guy and his wife like yelling at my bass player before we get off the plane, and then we get off the plane, he's like following my bass player, like talking mad junk to him while we're just trying to get home. And I was just like, yeah, welcome home. It was crazy. It was just crazy. Just to give you a little backstory, we're sitting on the plane on the way home, and there was this guy, he was a little drunk, next to Buddy, and he tears this bag open that Buddy's got, and it dumps all his stuff all over. So Buddy's like, all right, just picks up all the stuff, putting it in a bag, and while he's gathering up his things, not saying anything, he like bumps the seat, and this lady in front of him starts just going crazy, and her husband too, and we're just like, yeah, it's great to be around Americans and be back home again. We just had the time of our lives out in Japan with the coolest people doing the coolest things, and then we're surrounded by that once again, and it was just like, oh man, yeah, it's a drag. it's a drag.
Yeah, I've heard about the way it was described to me. I almost kind of didn't believe it. They're like, it was basically like it's just against the law, or like that you would be properly scolded for walking around and eating a hot dog or whatever, like just like food that you would carry with you. I don't know, like what was, because I know they have like I guess they have street food, like like the takoyaki or stuff like that. How was it like when you guys were? Did you like after gigs or like in between gigs, were you guys sort of going around or?
Yeah, the places we stopped and we hung out in, they were all like, obviously a place you could sit down and chill. So that's what we did. And I think Shane was probably the only ignorant one of the rest of us that just walked around drinking stuff and didn't care, and he was pretty proud of that. I love Shane. Yeah, it was great, and it was great, and you notice a big difference, with the cultures, with like how people are, and you're right about being clean over there, like unreal how clean it is, unreal. They got it down. They got it down over there for sure. Yeah.
Excellent, man. So, going through your catalog, and then seeing all these different projects. Correct me if I'm wrong, but or actually, I'll just ask you, which project is it that, or is maybe that something in the works? You said that you work with Siki, is it? Is that from Black Death?
Siki, yeah.
Siki? Okay, my bad.
Yeah, it is Black Death. It's a record that we're wrapping up right now. He has his current lineup of Black Death, and I played in another version of Black Death, another lineup of Black Death, and to avoid any, out of respect for the lineups at the time, the album's called the Chamber of Three, so we just were like, we'll just put it out as three, and but Siki's like, now he's like, no, this is a Black Death record, and it needs to come out right, as a Black Death record. It's the fourth Black Death record. So I guess Hell's Headbangers is releasing one right now that they're currently doing, and the other one is coming out on vinyl right now, and it will, I think the first pressing is like 300 copies. Yeah, but it's a Black Death record. It had Bob Branca played bass, I played drums, and Siki, guitar and vocals, and we recorded it between the years of like 23 and 24, and we were probably playing with Siki in the year 2000, 2001, 2, various times, and then we had like 7 or 8 songs, maybe even 10, but 7 made the record, and so yeah, it'll be coming out. But on a no label. It'll just be Black Death. There won't be any label on it. It will just be released as it is, as Black Death. Just
distributed through, or how would you say, pressed by Hell's Headbangers?
No.
Oh, okay.
The one that their current lineup is, yeah.
Oh, that's that one.
Correct.
With Jeremy and Chris.
Yes.
And,
yeah. We just played a show with those guys the other night. It was so great. They were awesome. But yeah, the other Black Death, the Chamber of Three record, that'll be coming out. We'll have some backing on it, but it'll be no label. It'll just be Black Death.
Okay, word.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Chris Stoley and Jeremy. I feel bad right now. McClellan, yeah.
And Gary.
Oh yeah, Gary. That's Jeremy's roommate, I think.
They were good, man. We had a great night at that show. Yeah, the new lineup of Black Death is cool.
And you had, and then okay, cool. And then just for the broader audience that might hear this, right? So like just referencing like a lot of Cleveland bands, and Black Death, of course, very important in the history, like more like old school. I don't know. I would just call it heavy metal. I don't want to call it power. I don't want to call it power metal. It's just real heavy metal, yeah. And then to recap, did you had like back-to-back nights, or was it just the one night for the release show?
Friday night at the Buzzbin in Akron, and then Saturday night in Cleveland.
Excellent, man. and I saw you had Evil Robot played.
Yeah.
I went and like auditioned to play bass with them.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, and I know it went really well, but like I don't know, whatever. They got who they got now. You know, it's all good. I was just kind of, you know, I was glad we got to meet and whatever. But I don't know. They like to. They were like smoking a lot and drinking, and I don't do it anymore. So I kind of like thought, you know, I could be wrong. It's nothing against them at all. Like they're super cool, but I wasn't doing that. So I think maybe they kind of thought like, oh, this guy's like too square or something.
Oh, probably not, man.
I don't know what it was.
They definitely, you know, have their ways for sure. That band I found out about because our old drummer Jeff Sullivan is old. He's a brother of mine, but he's played in tons of killer Cleveland bands throughout the years, and but he's he plays in this band Evil Robot now too, and they had a bass player quit, and I didn't know you went out. But Buddy, our bass player from Fistula, plays with them. Yeah, I had no idea. That's great. But so yeah, they played the party the other night because Dower from Pittsburgh, some of our friends, Chad was sick. So yeah, they came out and played.
Oh yeah, they're super cool. And then I know Nate or Nathan, however he prefers to be called, was in Hostile Amish.
Yep.
So like, I realized that. I definitely asked him about that. I didn't know that. That wasn't like a reason for me to audition. But then I just sort of like realized that when I was like looking at stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. Like I used to have this cassette tape. I'm just double checking. Yeah, I can say that. There's like, do you see how there's like a list here? It's like, don't say these words. Yeah. I mean, for sure someone has dropped an F-bomb in here and like nobody came up and like shut us down. But those are just like really obvious things you wouldn't say. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, so the cassette I had got, you know, I used to go to like Record Exchange and just whatever coolest shit I could find for like $1. It was Sea Monkeys and My Mom's Douche was the name of the song, Hostile Amish. And I wish I still had that tape. Like when I moved out to Los Angeles, my mom was like, you ain't leaving none of this stuff here. So I literally, dude, I wish I could go back in time and like fix this, but I literally just like put it all out on the tree lawn. Dude, I had like a lot of like cassette tapes and stuff I had like amassed over, mostly cassette tapes. But it's like stuff that like dude, now when I go to Record Exchange, they're selling like that Black Flag tape, like Damage, that I bought for like $quarter back then. It's like $30 or something.
Oh, yeah, I got tons of tapes that are like that. Do you want to hear a crazy tape story? So my friend George hits me up and goes, hey, Corey, I had my neighbor next to us. He's moving out. They live in this duplex at the time. And he said, hey, I have this box of tapes. He was just like, yeah, there's anything in the basement you want or whatever. And it's this house in Cleveland. And he lifts the top off it, and he's like looking through these tapes. And he's like, I started noticing some bands, and I was like, he's like, man, Corey might know some of these. One of them is, he's like, I found a Sloth tape of a band you guys are in. And so I'm like, yeah, bring it. And he brings me this box of tapes, and I'm looking through them, and I start seeing all these. I see City Chicken demo, and I see a Disengaged demo, and I'm like, oh, this is all Jason's stuff. So I called Jason up, and I was like, hey, I got an old box of tapes and stuff from a basement that you probably had or whatever, or I think it's one of his ex-girlfriends had a box of tapes or something, or some of his stuff, and he didn't get it back. So I called him, and I was like, man, I got this whole box of all these old school cassette tapes that I think you'd want. And so I'm gonna get together with him this year and get him these tapes back. So he's up in New York, but isn't that crazy? Like Jason from Disengage, one of my good buddies, like I found these big box of tapes that happened to be some random friend's basement, you know? It's so insane.
Good on you for being able to put two and two together and like get them to their proper home, you know?
Yeah, how weird is that?
So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of like, obviously, I mean, this, we could do like, maybe in a couple months, I feel like we could even do, a follow-up if you want, or like if any of the other, members of Fistula or like other projects would want to join in. But, while we're here, so we talked about the Simian Steel, or no, we didn't really talk about Simian Steel. We started talking about Black Death. Simian Steel, you're playing drums as well.
Yeah, Simian Steel. That's a band that Bob is one of the original members from Fistula. He stopped playing with us about 2 years ago to pursue some other interests, and for right now, and he played bass on that stuff. Steve Watson from Iron Monkey, Cerebral Fix, Raven's Creed, he plays guitar, and our first recording that we did together was in that band Chemical Crucifixion. I played drums, did vocals on that. Steve plays guitar, Bob plays bass. We even did a cover of Cherry Orchards by Celtic Frost.
Yeah, right on.
And so yeah, that's who is in that band. And Steve, Iron Monkey, had put out that record on Relapse, that 913, and he had gotten in touch with us and told us that just quit Iron Monkey, but he had a whole record of songs. And he'd said to me, asked Bob and I, he was like, "Hey, do you guys want to do a monkey band with me?" And he's the OG Monkey DNA for those riffs. So we said, of course. So he sent us all the tracks. Bob and I laid down. We would just learn the songs, and lay down the bass and drums, just play all the songs live, track them, send them to him. He just lays the guitar down on them. And we were thinking who could do vocals for this stuff that wouldn't try to do anything other than just be themselves. And we thought of our brother Marco from Grime from Italy. So we asked Marco to sing on the Simian Steel, and he did, and knocked it out of the park. In our opinion, we loved it. And so we put out the record ourselves on the Black Mold Records, and then Throne Records from overseas, they did the vinyl. But yeah, that's how that went. I had a relationship with Steve from Iron Monkey years ago, just from, would talk to him and, by email, and we just end up corresponding all the time. I would talk to the drummer from Iron Monkey, Justin, at sometime years ago. He was putting out this Iron Monkey tribute, and there was a lot of bands from the U.S. obviously that were in on it, and but through all of that, the only one that I would talk to still from Iron Monkey would be Steve, and so that's how we end up. We did a split. My band Sollubi, we did a split with his band Raven's Creed, and Ben from Orange Goblin was their vocalist at the time, and so we did a split with those guys. And the song we did was called Cross-Eyed Tommy, and we had actually Tommy Southard from Solace and Social Decay play guitar on it. And he's my bandmate in my band, Disease Concept. But I had a relationship with Steve a long time ago, working with him and doing records with him, and then we just wanted to do more stuff, and then this was like a perfect time to do something. We did the Chemical Crucifixion, and we had such a fun time doing that. Then he asked Bob and I to do the Simian Steel, and we were like, yeah, why not? So I think he has a second one written, but who knows when we'll have time to do that, yeah.
And then Simian, this is like that's from like Planet of the Apes, is it? It sounds familiar.
Well, Simian, he would just refers to like, an ape, or like Simian, like Conan, you know, and then
Yeah.
steel harder than iron. He
Oh,
did
I
it
get
to
it.
mock the,
I get it. I get
know?
it. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
So like a continuation of that
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
And then some of these other I guess I gotta dig a bit deeper. Maybe they're on like YouTube and whatnot. But some of the other bands that I was able to list, Sollubi. Is that his? Yeah, Sollubi. What's is that another one where you collaborate remotely, or is that like a Cleveland band? Or?
No, it's all live. That's I met these guys through. They used to run Land of Smiles Records from Pennsylvania, and years ago they put out like Midian, I want to say, or maybe they even put out Yob, bands like Solace, Moist Boys. They put out the Fistula for a Better Tomorrow 10-inch, and one of the guys from the label had this band called the Pennsylvania Connection. I heard this band and I was like, this release is killer. And I found out it was Griff, one of the guys from Land of Smiles. And I was like, hey, you ever want to write some stuff and play, let me know. So we did eventually, and he had these tracks, and they're super long. Like, I'm talking like some songs were like 20 minutes, 14 minutes. I think the shortest one we had was like 8 minutes or something like that. And he sent me these tracks, and we never had a chance to practice. We didn't practice at all. And at the time we did these, we would just get together, and Scott Stearns, too, played bass on this stuff. And Jesse Kling did vocals. Jesse was the other half of Land of Smiles Records. And like I said, I would get these tracks to listen to, the guitar tracks, and then we would never have time to work on them, but we would just get together for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and just smash a bunch of Oxycontin and record and play these songs and record these songs. And I think we did a recording at the Death Star out in Pennsylvania, and we played a show at Siren Records to release it. And we did a few records like that, but we would spend like 3 days together just playing nonstop for 3 days and just working on stuff. But like and that was like a lot of records. Like I was saying earlier, we were just documented times hanging out. We weren't working on stuff and mulling things over until like we worked all the originality out of them, kinks and warts and mistakes and everything that existed. Mm-hmm. We always thought that, like, even with Fistula, not just like in a lot of side the projects that I do, but when I was growing up, like there was already these bands doing their own thing, and there was already these bands that existed. And when I seen like the way people traditionally did stuff all the time, it was just like, I don't want to do that. That kind of band already exists, And there was all these people out there trying to quote unquote make it, and I just thought if I could just keep a lineup together that we all had a good time and everybody got along and had fun playing music, that was making it, And I'm 51 right now, and I think this is the first time playing with Fistula in so long that it's probably the first time that we're having fun again. So it's been the most fun. Everybody gets along, there's like no BS, there's no crazy head problems somebody's got, or no drug problems somebody has, or it's like all on the level, and everybody's totally cool and respectful and communicates and super cool to each other, and it's fun, You can have fun, and it's like cool to keep going and doing more stuff. Years ago and throughout this journey, it's like you talk to people who are like, yeah, I'm all into music, I'm all about music, and you come to find out other people have other agendas and they're not really about music, and that's like the whole thing with hanging out with your friends, and you're supposed to be having fun, this shit's supposed to be fun, and everybody forgets that, And I'm not saying be goofy and shit, I'm saying it's supposed to be fun. And people lose sight of that, and it's like you can tell when people aren't having fun. You can tell when it's just posture, and you can tell when it's fake. You can tell when it's just like done for other reasons, And like we're not out there trying to shuck and jive and hello my baby, hello my honey, tip my hat, pay my light bill. We're not trying to get in a van and roll through your town every 2 weeks and be like, I need to pay my light bill. I'm like, to me, it always seemed like bands are giving it away. Bands are always out there, playing all the time, playing every week, playing like the same thing all the time, offering no originality, nothing original, and like not even thinking about why they want to play music. What drives them? Why are you even doing it? So that's what's clogging up the dollar bins at the record exchange. People can't figure out why they're actually doing it. And I'm thankful that anybody cares about any noise that I make. I'm very fortunate. There's tons of bands out here and people that try extremely hard and they work so hard at their craft. And then you get somebody who farts through a trombone and they get like 1 million likes, and this dude over here who's been slugging it out looks over at that and is just like, really? So, do it and have fun doing it, man. Do and go for something that, is you and that's original, That's why we operate the way we do and make the moves we make, because like we don't need to be like quote unquote playing the game or like pander to, we don't need to pander to like we don't care if we sell whatever, Probably all the other record labels that work with us probably like, oh yeah, great, thanks Corey. Like, no, like really, the people are going to be into it and are into it. Awesome, that's great. If you're not, that's great too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of went off on a little.
No, man. I mean, dude, like it's with the interviewing, like, just as with different styles of music, like different people that you would talk to, some people they're just kind of say a little something and then it's like you got to come up with another question. So, and the point of the interview is, not trying to like gas you up or be like fake in any way, but it's like to talk about, it's about you, man. Like I invited you here, you got a lot of music out. So yeah, man, no, you're free to expand on things as much as you want. I typically awesome, like, man. Yeah, of course, man. Like right now, I typically like we'll do like an hour, right now where it's like 45 minutes. But like when I had, I just go with the flow of it. Like, I don't know if you're friends with or familiar with, Brian, the Colonel Kerr, who formerly, like he lives down in Arizona now, but he, was a drummer for Blood Coven back in the day.
Oh yes.
And
yes.
Another band called Ad Nauseum.
Yeah.
And I don't want to leave anything out.
Blood
I'm sorry
Coven
if I did, Brian.
Awesome.
But yeah, so funny enough, like I know him from when I went to this school. He was like working in admissions. And then, like, I went to there's this dive bar near here called Frank and Tony's. I went there the same night after I had met him here. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, you worked at Lakeland. And then we just sort of, like, it's like then we're like friends on Facebook, and like all this time passes, and then I don't know why, like who initiated, but then like after he's already like not even living in Ohio anymore, like we just are talking about like metal and stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, I used to play in Blood Coven. I'm like, dude, let me interview you. So it was like the coolest interview though, because it's like I was alive then, but I was like a little kid, and like I didn't even know what death metal was. I probably wasn't ready for it. I was like 10 years old or something, because I was born in 1982, in like the golden age of death metal. And like, but he was like, we were talking about him like opening up for like, some of these bands are still around, of course, but like Deceased, Morbid Angel, Dissection, some of these, just No More Dissection, right? And then Morbid Angel is like gone through different lineup changes, but it was just so cool. And I'll sort of wrap this thought up, but like we talked for like near an hour and a half, because I wasn't about to like cut him off. I'm like, this dude's like dropping like like giving me like this is like an opportunity for me to like soak all this in. Like I didn't live through this, so
10th grade was just like that for me. 10th grade was that was when I heard Butchered at Birth for me, and when I heard Meat Hook Sodomy off that record, and that was it. And then that same year I heard the Rigor Mortis record with the two mace, the skull with the hole in the head, and Beneath the Remains by Sepultura. Yeah, those for me, that year for me destroyed. I was also already listening to stuff like, like Pestilence and Nuclear Assault, Coroner, and getting into a lot of that stuff too from like when Headbangers Ball, and we had Z-Rock too to listen to out here. That stuff changed how I looked at music big time. And then I heard the Misfits too, and I'd already been rocking the Ramones and stuff like that, and I heard Black Flag when I was like in 7th grade, and Corrosion, was listening to that stuff, and DRI in high school. Like, that stuff was great, and Slayer, But then when it started getting into the death metal aspect of stuff, I liked, Impetigo, like, stuff like that really changed stuff for me. Because that's like the heavy aspect of stuff, and that was like not like, and as far as, like, I love Death too. Like, Death, that band Death is one of my all-time favorites. Like, you can't mess with those. When I heard like Scream Bloody Gore and even like Leprosy, like I still love that record. Even and the more technical side, like the Sound of Perseverance with Chuck Christie playing drums, like that's probably my favorite death metal like record that they, and they're probably a little tech death metal you'd say, but anyways, that's probably even more of my favorite stuff, because you can't mess with that. You can't. That shit destroys.
I love all music released by Death. For some people, their cutoff's gonna be Leprosy, I guess. But it's all sick, and it's like you like what you like, but you got to give them credit for not.
Dude, Flattening of Human Emotion. How can you not like that? Are you fucking kidding me? Sorry.
We can, I mean, the obvious, we can, this is, one thing I really appreciate about being able to do this here is like, you know, and then unfortunately for like what's the radio station at CSU that just got
WCSB.
Yeah, right. You know, like this is like a college, you know, that's hosting this, but I feel like, you know, I mean, within reason, dude, you know, we're not gonna like trash the studio or like, you know, be like super offensive like on purpose, but like they foster these types of things, you know, and like because that just goes with I don't want to like lose my train of thought. It goes with the vibe of like a learning institution. Like, you know, we're supposed to like
create more than you consume. You keep creation alive. Like keep creating and like don't, you know, everybody's just wants to just be consumers and just buy out there every day and just stop using their brains and stop looking outside the box and stop striving and going for something. And yeah, this gives that platform to keep that free thinking and that spirit alive and keep it moving forward, you know, and that's awesome. You know, places like this it's great. It's really great to have. And, you know, I'm really fortunate, Matt, for you to be doing this too, and thanks for having me out. You know, like we went to WCSB too. You know, Mike Hughes had us out there on the day man lost. That was his show, and Mike's always been a supporter of stuff that I've done. You know, especially Fistula. You know, and he's a big supporter of the scene in general in northeastern Ohio, and he was always spinning underground music and going to shows. That guy probably goes to 250 shows a year, if not more, and he's always supporting underground and the arts and playing it on the radio and getting people hip to new stuff, you know, to check out. And, you know, it's like, you know, they're very aware of the situation. They're very aware, and they know what's going on out there, and they're very in tune with everything. You know, and you guys having these shows and like talking to artists and all of us being able to come here and hang out and just, you know, talk about, hey, what's you know, your favorite thing, or what's your take on it, or what do you guys got going on next, or what's going on with you. That, you know, that's great. You know, if we didn't have stuff like that, or people who actually, you know, cared to do anything like that, then where's it all going to go? Who else is going to do that? You know, it's going to fall by the wayside, and nobody's going to pick it up and do it. You know, who's got the cojones, so to speak, you know, to do something like that, to join everybody together, to bring everybody together? Who's going to extend that and build that for us as a community, to have that and have a place to go and have a place to talk about this stuff for people who do care about it, you know? So, I mean, you're doing a great thing, man. You know, as far as I see it, you know, the only way people are going to know is if you know, inform them. And that's all this is. This is just an informative, you know, little get-together, you know? Just two bald dudes talking about rock and metal and hardcore and punk and noise, and it's good stuff. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Hey, thank you, man. Yeah, and it is, you know, like it's, I always learn something new from these interviews, you know, and I think about, like, you know, the person I would look up to in doing something like this is Nardwar, you know, like, you know, because if you think about that guy, I haven't watched in a while, but I've probably seen, like, because he still puts out new interviews,
great.
But I used to watch all of them, and like people would always people would trip out, like, no matter who it was, because I guess, you know, he comes from like more of a punk background, or like artsy kind of punk, or, you know, whatever stuff he's into, and he's from Canada, but like he would interview like these, like, you know, just trap like rap artists, and he would just know this crazy stuff about them that would make them. And I'm not at that level yet where I have made somebody's head spin like, oh, what about when this happened? But like I think about that, and like, you know, when I have time, like I said, you know, I try to, you know, it's easier now, I think, than it might have been for somebody like him when he was first getting started. You know, like I can go on the Facebook page and just keep scrolling, and you know, and just say, oh, that's how I knew you guys went to Europe for Fistula, and because I think that was back in like 2018, right? So
yeah,
it's
that
like
was the last tour. Yep.
8 years ago. You sent me that really cool photo where it's like you, and then I wouldn't have known unless you told me, but after you tell me, I could tell that some of the guys with Mastodon were in there with you.
That was from like a Missions of the Monolith thing in Youngstown, Ohio, from like '03. Something like that, '03 or '04. Yeah, it was like a picture outside. It was like Mastodon guys, Keel Hall, us, and I think Dixie from Weed Eater, and Charlie Mugwort was out there, and Brian from Alabama Thunder Pussy. Yeah, it was those lineups back then for the Emissions Fest. Whew, crazy. Be playing with like bands like Pig Destroyer would be playing, and I'd be out in the parking lot smoking a joint with Wino. You know, they were like the best
From the Obsessed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on.
Like, yeah, Greg Barrett always had he knew how to throw a party, that's for sure. Yeah, those Emissions Fests, yeah, and they're coming back too. Gonna be a good time.
Excellent, man. So you guys have done with Fistula many splits. You know, out of those, like, which one? What was like which one really stands out to you the most, or maybe, you know, which one sort of hit the best? You know.
My favorite 7-inch splits that we've done are, we did a split with Contaminated from Australia. They're an excellent band. Christoph, he's the drummer in Contaminated. He has a bunch of bands I'm a fan of from over there. Incinerated, Roskop, Derailment, to name a few. Internal Rot. Yeah, they're great. But anyway, we did a split with Contaminated, and I really liked that split we did. We even used an anvil on our song. Yeah, it was a good song, and that's this track we did called Nigromancer. A very, very dark track, but killer. I love how that came out. That was one of the splits we recently did, and around like the same time you were talking about one of our last European tours, we were also touring the States too with like Come to Grief, and we did a split with Come to Grief called Contusion. That was our song. I really like how that came out, and then we did a cover song with 16. They did Complications by Killing Joke, and we did Mongoloid by Devo, and I liked those records. Those are pretty cool to do. So some of the last splits we did, yeah.
How did you procure that anvil, and was that like, did you bring it into the studio, or did you like go record it and then take, like, how did the anvil's pretty heavy, huh?
The anvil was Bob's grandfather's, and he had got his grandfather's anvil from his house, and I think his grandfather had passed away at the time, and it was one of the things that he took home, and we had it downstairs in the recording studio. and we just had it right there, and I just sat down, like knelt down Indian style on the floor, and had this anvil here, and I was just clang on it and play with it during the song at parts, and we used a sample, and which is like a lot of people they hate that movie, the what's that Salem movie that Rob Zombie did, Witches of Salem.
Oh, I'm not really hip to that, but yeah, okay. I know he's done a lot of horror films and.
But it's a killer movie, and it's not like your standard horror movie. It's more, just has this tone about it. It's not like some slasher movie or whatever. It's just about witches, and we took like a sample from that. These like naked witches dancing around the fire, and it's killer. It fit with the music really good.
What's the name of that song again?
Nigromancer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll find that, man. Listening closely for the anvil hits. So yeah, we're at about an hour, and then we don't need to cap it off right away, but we'll sort of just make sure that we talk about the future of Fistula, and let people know where they could get this album if they want to. Would they get the album through Bandcamp, or is there like was it Totem Records?
Yeah, it's Totem Cat Records out of France. You can get it through Totem Cat, Big Cartel. They're selling the vinyl right now. We have the CDs. People just hit us up through the Instagram and DM us to order stuff. We'll be starting up a new platform soon, for downloads. The new lineup of, well, not new anymore, but we have a new guitar player, Greg Backer, and Greg's playing with us with Shane, me, and Buddy, and we're playing the Galaxy stuff right now. Obviously, we're scheduled to go back in the studio with Noah at the end of July, and we're working on another record. So we're already like 4 songs deep into it right now. Greg's killer guitar player, and he's doing what guitar players do, bring riffs, So Greg's writing more of this stuff right now. Like for those 4 songs, those are his riffs, 0 of mine. We're putting them together, and it's killer. So that's what we're doing. Nate from AC came out and played drums on 6 songs again, and had Brian Sekula came out, a friend of mine, played guitar on it. Matt Rossitano came out, played guitar on a song. Steve Eggs came out, hung out with us, made noise on a track. So we recorded the stuff, Shane did vocals on them. We'll probably be playing a song or 2, but this is another new one after Galaxies. It's called Misery Core, and that album will be coming out on Mortville Records, which will be announced soon. We're going to put it out on CD, and he will, and then next year Throne Records will be putting it out on 12-inch. So that's currently, where we're at with Fistula, but we got a matinee coming up with Axioma and Minsk at the Foundry, May 31st, and we'll be playing the new record there, playing a matinee show with those guys. We're playing May 8th coming up before that at where are we playing? Musica in Akron. And then the only other gig that we have going on, because we'll be working on the record, we're playing with Conan when they roll through at the Grog Shop in July 11th. We'll be opening up for them, and then some more stuff will be announced, for us towards the end of the year. But that's what we got going on. That's what we got currently going on.
Excellent, man. Well, yeah. So, yeah, get on Big Cartel or Totem Cat Records to grab the Galaxies. As far as like your past releases, are they currently like, are they available through like other distributors as well, or?
So Bob and I started our own like little label a couple years ago. It's called Black Mold, just so we could have a home just to put out, you know, whatever releases we wanted to, and we just released them not CD wise, but we have the Black Mold on Bandcamp too, that you can go and listen to a lot of stuff. Since he's taken a back seat to a lot of this stuff for the past 2 years, I haven't kept up with any of the admin part of this stuff. We've just been working on new tunes and working on the future, and then, you know, I'll probably have, you know, discuss with them in the future of what we're going to do, you know, moving forward with putting more things on, keeping it on the Black Mold and then getting it updated for everybody. But, you know, for now, everybody can just go through us. And if they want to go to the Black Mold, they can most definitely go there and still order CDs, and they can still, because he still ships them out to people. So he's still running the Black Mold record. So, you know, if anybody wants to order anything, they most definitely can still, like always, you know. And just come to shows and get us from us like the most current and recent stuff that we're doing, you know. We probably have, you know, I still have everything that's on the site with us too. So, you know, if anybody wants anything, the easiest way is just to come see us live or hit us up on the Instagram page if you need anything, you know. Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for being here.
Dude, thank you for having me, man. It's been awesome, Matt.
Yeah, man, 100%. And, you know, we'll have to run this back, you know, maybe a couple months from now, or, you know, we'll see about, you know, representing the current lineup, you know, if any of the other, fellas want to join.
Absolutely. That'd be fun.
Right on, man. So, yeah, you know, get on, Instagram, Facebook, Bandcamp, keep up with Fistula. There's gigs coming up, new album that just dropped, another album coming soon. There's a Black Death release featuring Corey on drums that's going to be coming out as well. And yeah, man, just dive in, you know, as I have over the past week. Super, you know, really just impressed and you know, at the amount of work you've done. And
Thanks,
you know,
brother.
it's so yeah, it's very, very prolific, man. Like Fistula now, you said you started this in like 98?
Yeah.
So it's been a good run, man.
Yeah, over 26 years.
Excellent, brother. Yeah, so we'll wrap up for this one. Y'all be safe out there, and keep it heavy.